3, 2. Yo, what is cracking, my people? What is up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to yet another episode of ADQ's Renaissance. I'm your host with the most, keeping it 100 from coast to coast. Through God, I boast. ADQ, show me love. I know. I'm dope. Yeah, I know. Oh, thank you. Cut it out. Quit it. So, yo, this is yet another episode of ADQ's Renaissance. This is a very, very rare Monday edition of ADQ's Renaissance. We are chilling. We are enjoying that federal holiday, Juneteenth. See, today is the federal version of Juneteenth. Yesterday was the real Juneteenth, which is crazy that Juneteenth and Father's Day was on the same day. I didn't know you could put two holidays on the same day. But nevertheless, that's what happened. Shout out to the fathers, shout out to Freedom, Jubilee, Harambe. Now, today is going to be like a sequel or kind of like an answering to a previous episode that I did talking about losing my religion. Y'all heard how I gave a full synopsis, full soliloquy about my exit from Christianity. I still have all the love in my heart for Christianity. I think it's a beautiful religion when applied right. Well, there are people out there who I know, some would probably debate me, some would probably condemn me to hell, and some, like my friend here, will probably talk with me about it, and we could share experiences, and hopefully you, the listening audience, could take it and apply it to your life however you would. What I like about this man is I feel that he approaches Christianity from a very socialist standpoint. Anybody who looks at the tenements of socialism and looks at the tenements of Christianity can see some great parallels and some great commonalities. This man does a lot of volunteer work. This man is actually partly responsible for me, as a part of his Christian socialism, me having a place to stay when I was homeless. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to ADQ's Renaissance, my friend and your friend, the articulate, the educational Thomas Burwell. What's up, Tom?
Great to be here, Adrian. Yeah.
Hold on. I forgot. Thomas Burwell.
All right. There we go. Honor to make an appearance on here. For sure.
So how's it going, Tom?
It's good. It's been a little hectic day. We were trying to install this water filtration system under our sink, and it was a little harder than we thought, but that's how it goes with a lot of home projects, I think.
Is it safe to say that even though you had the water filtration process, which is great because that filters out all the nasty stuff that's in the city water, right?
Right.
Everybody's not sitting around sweating all over the place like everybody was when I was there, right?
Right. That was crazy. I forgot about that. Air conditioning went out for 3 weeks or something, and Rachel had a problem with that management company, and so she could never get there was some sort of communication issue going on because she would try to tell them things and they would not get the message or something. I don't know. That was wild though.
Yeah, that's the slumlord type behavior. For those of y'all who are listening who don't know, Rachel is Thomas's can I say better half? Can I say
partner? Yeah,
partner, main squeeze, love of his life, the great Rachel. I'm not going to say her last name, but yes, the great Rachel. So Thomas, let's just jump right into it. You checked out my episode, losing my religion, and you gave great quality feedback to it. While I had a friend who was greatly offended by some of the things that I said, and I did say a couple of offensive things. I apologize for that, but while someone probably offended, you took it as kind of like a more reflective piece in which I was coming as a man who was grown in a certain way, and in reflectively speaking, coming to a point where I have decided to make my exit. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah, and I think if I remember right, like you weren't saying that Christianity doesn't have any value. That like you were saying that you were open to looking back into it at some point. Like there's a lot of people on the internet, especially that are anti-religious, and they say that religion just causes wars, and the world would just be better off without any sort of religion, or spirituality is just pseudoscience or whatever, stuff like that. Like, and I didn't get that vibe from you at all. Like, you still see the value in religion. It was just the churches as they exist today weren't giving you what you needed from it.
Yeah, like I would say that while religion can come off as restraining to me at times, it can also help guide people in a certain direction. I mean, I use this great man, Malcolm X, as an example.
Right.
Malcolm Little couldn't have became Malcolm X without Islam. A lot of who he became, the articulate speaker and leader that he was, came as a result of the teachings that he learned from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and through the Quran with Islam. So I would definitely say that religion does have its place. I would ask you though, what has been your experience and your whole story with Christianity? Because I know that you, oh my goodness, yo, if anybody understands the Southern Baptist conservative upbringing, I feel like it'll be you. Like who you are,
right? Well,
far cry from
yeah,
that. But
definitely.
ahead.
Growing up, my mom was really into going to church. Like that was the center of her life, kind of thing. But my grandma was actually the one that everyone in the church knew. Like my grandmother had taught Sunday school for decades at the church I grew up in. And so everyone in the church knew her and loved her. And she was, just a really sweet and Christian. Like she was very intelligent too. Like she would make have very insightful things to say. And so she was just very respected in the church, and everyone knew her. And so yeah, I was growing up in that environment, but then I guess I always had like kind of a skeptic's attitude, just from like I liked math and science in school, and so I kind of figured that there was like a conflict between, well, do you just believe because everyone else believes, or do you doubt and try to figure out whether this is actually true? What is the truth? And so and the way the Southern Baptists do it, or the way Baptists in general do it, is you're not baptized in the church at birth, but you actually wait until you grow up some. A lot of people choose to get baptized when they're 5 or 6 or 7 maybe, but I waited till I was, I think, 14, which was a lot older than a lot of other people in the church. But
I remember I got baptized when I was 19. So I think I got I think I got your elderly baptism beat just by a little bit. But go ahead. I'm
You
sorry.
did, yeah. No, yeah. That's. Did you grow up in a church like, or did you grow up Baptist or what?
Absolutely. Like
Okay.
right now I have this taste for denominations because I feel like that they're divisive. But
Hmm.
I did grow up Baptist.
Okay.
I don't. I've went to a white conservative Baptist church in Winston Salem, Calvary Baptist, and I grew up in the Black Baptist church. Both
Gotcha.
Baptists, two completely different worlds.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That is a weird thing in Baptist where there's not as many interracial congregations as much because there's that's just going back to segregation and stuff like that.
yeah, it has been said. I forgot who said it, but the most segregated. James Baldwin said it. The most segregated hour of in the United States is high noon on Sunday.
Mm.
However, if we're going by the tenements of what the Bible says and what it teaches in regards to loving your neighbor and loving your brother, then that's not good.
No.
That's not good.
Yeah, and I think a
And
lot of the non-denominational evangelical churches are more interracial, but since we do have this heritage of segregation and racism, then it just a carryover from that where you already had these established churches that were either black or white, and so I
so
mean,
I want to ask you this because growing up, I was afraid. I would say growing up and well into my adulthood, I was afraid to question. I would just dismiss whatever tick that I had. But you mentioned how you like math and you like science and that led you to questioning. Are you here because your mama was here and your grandmama was here and your great grandmama was here, or are you here because you believe in God and you want to have a very close relationship with Jesus?
exactly.
I would ask you how did you expound upon that feeling? Like what did you do with that feeling?
Yeah. So when I decided to get baptized, I basically I kind of suppressed that a little bit, and I was like, well, I can tell that some people in this church, do have a good relationship with God. They are good people. They're, doing positive things with their life, and their relationship with God is an essential part of that. And so I did kind of just suppress that doubt for a little, and just say, well, I'm going to trust these people, and but yeah, there's a really interesting take on that I've heard recently from this author named Osho, who I've been listening to, and he said that there's a difference between between belief and trust. Whereas belief, he associates with a kind of left brain attitude where you don't allow yourself to question. But with trust, he said that questioning is an integral part of trust. Like you can't really trust something without also being able to question it and interrogate it and kind of enter into a dialogue with it. And so yeah, I think, and reflecting back on my relationship, I think I always did have that dialogue going on. So it's like I I I think that's the way I try to approach it now. Like it's good to trust things, but you also got to have that dialogue, that questioning and interrogation is also a healthy part of that trust. So,
Yeah, I would say that an integral part of having a relationship with God is, as human beings, there are things that we don't know. And
exactly.
when you don't ask questions, you're just going to uh put out asinine what's the word I'm looking for? Statements, theories, hypotheses, guesses. I think it falls
Mm-hmm.
into that one of those realms.
Or rationalizations, maybe
Rationalizations.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. What were you about to say?
Yeah, just I think if you don't have that questioning attitude, then you just get into the dogmatism, and just you know, instead of saying like, does God really does God really want us to ban abortions in this country and stuff like that? And you're not really going to think about that from a critical perspective. You're just going to say, well, my preacher said so, and it says there's this verse in the Bible, this one verse or something, and you're not really going to get into the spirit of it. Like, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, that's abortion's a very hot button. It's a very complicated issue. I will say that, and so I think there's arguments to be made either way, but but people who have a dogmatic approach to it aren't going to get into those arguments. They're just going to say, this is how my group of people, what my group of people says about it, and so.
And that closes off. The chances of a nuanced discussion, right?
Exactly.
I know how I feel about abortion. I'm pro-life, right? But I have talked it over with women, and that has brought me to the conclusion, as pro-life as I am against anybody telling a woman what to do with her body.
Sure.
Nobody has a right to tell a woman what to do with her body. And not only that, I bet you a good number of them are not just up and saying, okay, get this baby up at me. A lot, women can die from childbirth. Women can get sick from childbirth. The child can be deformed in some way in his early development stages. I used to date a woman, and not to get completely onto the whole abortion thing, but I used to date a woman whose son came as a result of raping, and I imagine raping to be like a very traumatic experience. Well, her son looks just like the man who raped her.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody who looks at it from a very nuanced perspective will know that abortion is not just black and white. There's a whole bunch of gray that go into there, and it is
exactly. I agree.
And anyone who taps into the spiritual versus the religious, this is my view. Anyone who taps into the spiritual versus the religious, religion, pow, 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 bullet point, you gotta do it this way. Spiritual, God, what do you say?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. What is it? Let's see. There, that same author I've been listening to, Osho, talks about how, the real religion. I mean, well, he does. I don't think he makes that distinction quite so much, because he just says real religion is always about the inner life, whereas the church, like the organized groups or organized religion, focuses on the outer life. And so, but yeah, I think it's the same distinction you're making there.
I like that. Like, it sounds like, from what Asha is saying, Asha, right? Asha?
Osho, yeah, Osho.
Okay. Sounds like what he's saying kind of like points more towards the whole spiritual aspect that I'm looking to champion. In other words, God take care of what's inside of me, so that what's outside of me can be pleasing unto your will, right?
Right. For sure.
So I would ask you, okay, let me ask you this before we continue on your path. Excuse me. I'm asking you this because you are way more tapped into the whole to math and science than I am. I watch. I'm trying to get myself into Neil deGrasse Tyson and see what other astrophysicists are out there. I want to get more into Afrofuturism. I feel like there's a whole scientific world that has my name for it. I know that there's a lot of science that backs climate change, but you don't rock with climate change. If I'm not mistaken, I think last time we talked about climate change, that was your position. You don't rock with it.
I've got questions. I'll say that.
You got questions. Great. We're supposed to have questions. So my question to you is, from your standpoint, why do Christians, both in the church that you grew up in and churches that I grown up in, why do Christians battle science so much? You know what I'm saying? Not all Christians do, but a lot of them battle science.
Yeah. Sorry, I got a text message here.
It's all good. Might be your answer right there.
No, my fault. Yeah, let me put my phone on silence here. Okay.
Good,
so, yeah, that's a great question. I think, I think there's different ways that certain Christians have tried to get around, to get through that. I think there's what is this guy's name? He's actually was part of the National Science Foundation, I believe. He was appointed by one of the presidents to head this national scientific organization, but he's also an evangelical Christian who, and his argument is the way he's gotten around, evolution has been the big issue in America. And I think he believes that, evolution was God's design kind of thing. Evolution was the process God used to, for people to become who we are today. And so,
well, I have questions about evolution because
sure.
I'm not convinced that my ancestors came on this earth as a monkey.
Well, and that's not quite right, because it's that monkeys and humans have a common ancestor, but that common ancestor is extinct now. So but yeah, I get your point.
Well, my point. Well, what I was getting at is, wouldn't the theory of evolution kind of debunk the whole Adam and Eve story?
Not necessarily. It depends on if you see it as literal or a metaphor, right? Because if you look at the 7 days that God created the universe or whatever, at first he creates the fish first, and then he creates the land animals, and that actually is in line with what the theory of evolution says too. That fish come first, and then the land animals come next. So, but yeah, that's getting a little too. That's not even the point, I guess. But yeah, I think the theory of evolution is definitely. If you believe the theory of evolution, you would definitely see the story of Adam and Eve as a metaphor and not as a literal story, literal events necessarily.
When I talk about my answer, okay, so early in my search for spirituality and in my path to find my Africanity, I found myself into an ancestral discussion with this young man who is white, who was part of the church, that I was going to at the time, which is pretty much the Southern Baptist Church, right? He said his ancestors are Adam and Eve. I'm like, my ancestors ain't no daggone Adam and Eve. My My ancestors are my grandmother and the people who came before me, whoever operated in the different African tribes, those tribes that I'm still that I'm looking to learn one day in Africa. But he called his ancestors Adam and Eve. So there are people who believe that the Adam and Eve story is a literal happening.
Right. Yeah. That was one of the things that turned me off from the Southern Baptists. I think just that literal approach to everything. So, like, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
So Noah's Ark, literal or metaphorical?
That one's a little more of a gray area because, I mean, there could be some literal parts to that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think, didn't some archaeologists claim that they found what could be Noah's Ark in like Turkey or some country like that? I can't remember what country, but I don't know. So yeah, I'd have to study that one more, but yeah, I think it's a little more black and white with the Adam and Eve story that just does not, if you believe in the science of evolution, there's not much room to say that was a literal, that Adam and Eve were literal people. But
so I want to ask you, now, in your own personal journey, at what point did you not deflect, because you're still a practicing Christian to this very day, but at what point did you say, okay, y'all over here in the Southern Baptist Church, y'all tripping, okay?
Sure.
Let me get with my Bible and my God, and let's figure this out ourselves.
Sure. Well, I mean, that actually probably has a lot to do with my family dynamics, because my sister had a kind of rebellious attitude, and she, used drugs or whatever in high school, and my parents actually ended up sending her to this crazy fundamentalist Baptist boarding school, and so that was a big, I don't know, just seeing that whole process shake out was like kind of a red flag to me, I'd say.
Let me ask this real quick, before you continue with your story. Fundamentalists, like Crucible fundamentalists?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, have you seen The Handmaid's Tale?
Whoa, haven't seen The Handmaid's Tale, but Crucible, them people were crazy.
Yeah. Pretty much. Like the school is shut down, and there's a support group on the internet for people who attended. So.
Kind of like a mental support group, or
right. Yeah. Yeah. So it was pretty extreme.
So so most of your family are pretty much radical in that sense, right?
It would be my mom. Like, my mom took that attitude for whatever reason. So, like, my dad he grew up Methodist, and he's more economic conservative, to be honest. Like, I think if he had married a different woman, he wouldn't go to church much, but, since he married my mom, he goes every week and sleeps through the sermons, kind of thing. So, but
I've had many a time when people had wake me up in a sermon. The pastor be like, Jesus, and I'll be like,
yep, that's my dad there.
Oh man. Okay. So your mom. See, the one scripture that troubles me. I forget where it's at, but I know that Paul wrote it, and he was talking about wives being submissive to your husbands, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I know Rachel well enough to know that if you were to come at her with that,
I would be out the door. Exactly. That's very true.
I believe that scripture has a lot of patriarchy attached to it, but I think that it also speaks to the time. Like
yeah. Yeah, and what I've heard, like, to that specific scripture, I think I've heard some Christians make the argument that Paul was giving that advice to that specific church, and because they were going, their city was going through like a turbulent time or something, and that he wasn't necessarily saying that should be applied to all churches. So, but you know, there's different readings of it,
and it surely should not be applied to any heterosexual married couples in 2022.
Right, right.
Like, yo, if I was like, yo, whenever I get married, I would just feel weird my wife taking my last name. Like, yo, it's probably based off of the Bible why women take their husband's last name. That misinterpretation of what Paul said, that's probably the reason why women take their husband's last name. I'm like, why? Why you trying to take my last name? Why can't I take your last name?
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like,
no, for sure. Yeah.
Say again.
I was just agreeing. Yeah, like, yeah, the patriarchy is that was the system we had. Like if you even as recently as the 60s and 70s, like there was just the amount of women in the high-paying jobs was extremely small, and so that's a huge change our society's going through. I think it's a change for the better for sure.
Hey, I'm down. Hey, I'm ready. I, like you, I'm also ready to see a woman president. Not Kamala Harris, but someone like Nina Turner and Tesla Figaro. Shoot,
for sure.
For I forgot her name. She's not her. Maybe AOC. She did some stuff that I wasn't with, but hey, no one's perfect. So maybe in AOC when she get old enough to do it.
Yep. But, we'll see.
But I was
America. I was just gonna say, like, the Democratic Party politics is not looking good right now. It's looking like they're gonna get landslided in this mid-year elections, but midterm elections. Who knows?
Of course, man. They're for those who are listening, me and Tom have had many political discussions, so this goes into politics. Just bear with us.
Right. Yeah, I think we're both mainly on the left, but the Democratic Party has just not been representing the left-wing issues very well, unfortunately. So.
Did you just call me a leftist, man?
I think you're on the left on some things.
Why do people keep saying that?
Are you not? Okay, my bad. I apologize.
Oh, no. I guess you would say that I'm more so centered.
You were talking about you wanted Nina Turner and AOC to possibly be president. I just assumed.
Daggone right, man. Then daggone Liz Cheney.
Right.
Come on. Get another Cheney in the office. Do we have to relive the Bush years again? Baby Bush.
Right.
I'm sorry. I know that you. I will assume that you, definitely Rachel does. A lot of people on the left think that Donald Trump is the devil, but I will take Donald Trump over another Bush Cheney administration in a heartbeat.
I agree with you there. Yeah, the Bush Cheney was the worst. I think like the whole Iraq war was. Donald Trump never got us into a war. I don't know.
No. Inflation has been taking place under Biden.
Trump did increase the federal budget as well. So yeah, I don't think. But yeah, Biden. He's had some bad luck, but he has not responded well to it either. So.
But yeah, I would say that I'm probably more so center leaning left. Like I've been told that I'm a left. I've been told that I come off as a libertarian. let's see. I'm pro guns, but I'm not like trying to like. I'm not like trying to. I think that there needs to be a background check in line with gun purchase. Now, that's not always going to take place. Like here, like there are places here on the east side, Greensboro. Yeah, ain't no gun control taking place. You got the money, they got the gun. Bye, there it is. I already said how I feel about abortion. Hate it, wish it didn't exist, but it's her body. Another hot button left issue. Healthcare for all. Yeah, healthcare needs to be for all. Otherwise, people wouldn't be dropping like flies. I recently wrote a poem that was a love letter to the LGBTQIA plus community. It's called "Love Gon' Be There Quick." So that's how I'm growing in that regard. Love everybody, love them all. So, and I believe that what has caused me to start caring about these issues and stuff and how they affect people is, as Mary said, the God in me. And one thing I've always respected about you, Tom, is how, please correct me if I'm wrong, but you seem to marry your socialism with your Christianity.
Sure, yeah, for sure. I think kind of. So my sister, when she came back from that boarding school, she had she studied the Bible a lot and had memorized all these Bible passages. They studied the King James Version of the Bible, and she actually had some sort of, I don't know, what would you call it, but she had some sort of she believed that that she had the right understanding of the Bible, and that if she just shared that with enough of the right people, that was kind of her mission to, bring that message to people, and she was basically trying to say that the Bible isn't saying that people are going to spend eternity in hell. She was saying that hell, kind of like her argument was kind of something like that hell doesn't exist. And she was saying, and she just had this kind of fixation on trying to tell that to everyone. And so I would be hanging out with her and some of her people she knew, and they would be asking her, like, I don't want to talk about this anymore, Mary. And she would keep talking about it. And I'd be like, I don't know. It was just like, I mean, she never went to a normal high school. So she didn't really know how to talk about things. Like, I don't know. Cause she went to this crazy, school for boarding school so she never had a normal high school experience, never got a group of friends in high school and stuff like that. And, but I finally found out the thing that got her to stop doing that with people was I would kind of redirect the conversation and say, I agree with you, Mary. Christianity and capitalism are completely incompatible. And I would start going into socialist politics and talking about socialist politics, and so and say how capitalism is the whole problem and it's ruined Christianity and stuff, and that finally got her to not keep talking about all that so much, and kind of have more normal conversations with people. So
I love that. I love how you deflated, man. I love that. Yo, I struggle with the existence of hell. I mean, I feel like hell is more so of a mindset. I mean, because
yeah. No, I mean, I actually kind of admire my sister's interpretation in that regard. I agree. I mean, and yeah, I definitely have kind of agree with that interpretation, actually, that you can say that, heaven and hell are mental states, not necessarily physical places, and that so. But anyway,
I'm laughing because the whole devil story just doesn't make sense. Right. Okay. So there was this angel in heaven who was a minister of music. His name was Lucifer, and Lucifer felt like that felt like he was like the ish, like his poop don't stink, right? And as punishment, God gave him his own kingdom. So if I start I'm all this and that, you mean I'm gonna get my own kingdom? That's all I gotta do, right? All the angels that may or may not be up there, they'll probably be like, oh, so I just gotta start tripping now, and I can get my own kingdom for real.
Right. Yeah, and it's just like hell is a big party, and all the party people go to hell and just have a big highway to hell or whatever. I don't know.
I'll be like, turn up. Man, it doesn't make sense, man. And I love how you deflected over to capitalism being the problem, because wow, I love my money. Well, that's a whole nother problem there, because it's little pieces of paper with dead slave owners on it, and it's not even backed by any currency. So, do I love my paper? No, it's not the paper. It's not the paper. It's not the status. Dang it, Tom, I don't know what it is, but it has seeped its way into the evangelical church, causing
the prosperity gospel. Yeah.
Oh my God, prosperity gospel is such BS, my man. I mean,
totally.
I mean, I even heard someone say that prosperity gospel is antichrist. Are you familiar with Creflo Dollar?
Oh, yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah.
This man once stood in front of his church and asked the congregation to help him get a $63 million jet to go all over the world and spread the gospel.
Oh my God!
Like Creflo. There are a lot of people all over the world spreading the gospel. They do not need you, and you do not need no jet.
Oh man, yeah, it's wild.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying the whole prosperity gospel is I actually went to a workshop in Charlotte by this mystic Andrew Harvey, who's I definitely recommend. He's actually he's translated the poet Rumi into English, and I've got like a CD of him reading his translation of Rumi, and it's beautiful for sure. He was at this workshop I went to. It was actually at a Unity church in Charlotte, and but he was very critical. They actually had in the front of the church there was like a bookstore that has some prosperity gospel authors, and he was very critical of that aspect. He actually called out the church for that when we were at this workshop that the church was hosting. So,
Paula White, Kenneth Copeland, watch out for all of them. They suck. They're not good. I try not to talk junk about people, but I'm calling them space. Paula White worked for Donald Trump.
Interesting, gotcha.
Yeah, I want to ask you, Tom, because here's the root of what I'm trying to get to. A lot of evangelical Christians, who I've known, like I've been a member of 3 white churches, white evangelical churches, and I'm calling them white churches because if you go there, I promise you, you're going to see more people who look like you, and than people who look like me. Calvary Baptist over in Winston-Salem, Pinedale Christian Church over there, and Mercy Hill Church here. All of them, I enjoyed myself there. I very much enjoyed myself. But the white evangelical mind that they have attained to, that they probably have had since college or since childhood, are very much alike. You very much could have become like that. My question to you, yes, you very much could have become like that. I mean, with your intellect, you could be a pastor right now. My question to you is, what stopped that? What veered you in a different direction? Because I know you had to piss somebody off at some point.
I mean, it was my sister. I mean, for sure. Like, my parents were, they, I mean, there was a big conflict between my sister and my parents, and I basically had to pick a side. And I was like, I felt like she was getting kind of a raw bargain from it all. And so I was like, well, let me look more into what she's saying about all this. And so, and just seeing how the church kind of responded to the trouble my parents were having, it was like, instead of actually going to other people in the church to help with it, my mom was more, just didn't want to talk about it with anyone. She didn't want people in the other church to know that, the granddaughter of this highly respected person in the church is having all these troubles or problems. And so, just seeing that whole dynamic was definitely kind of opened my eyes to some things like, wait a second, why don't other people in the church help my parents and my sister get through this and, learn to communicate better and stuff. And there just wasn't, I think there was one assistant pastor that did come and try to help a little, but then that was it. It was like, well, that didn't work. Oh, well, we'll just sweep it under the rug and try to, just not bother people with our problems and stuff like that. And it didn't seem like a healthy way for a community to behave, and, and other people in the church, they wouldn't really, it's like all of a sudden Mary stopped coming to church because she was at this boarding school, and, they didn't really try to dig into what was happening. It was just like, okay, that's it. And, so that was definitely part of it. Then I guess in college, I got into this author. I went to Wake Forest University, and one of the religion professors on campus was holding a Sunday school on campus. And so I started attending that Sunday school, and he recommended and part of the reading for the Sunday school class was from this author, Anthony DeMello, and from the book Awareness. And that was definitely a big role in everything too, and kind of developing my own spiritual understandings, I guess. So
tell me this: was your spiritual understanding kind of like, your walk is your walk, is for you, right? But if you were to like compare it or parallel it to anyone, would you say that it kind of like compares to a Stephen Furtick type?
I'm not familiar with him, unfortunately.
Okay. Tell me. Okay. How about this? Would be a better question. Who do you read for like a commentary or kind of like a theological understanding for things?
Sure. Right. Currently, there's actually a Marxist philosopher, Slavoj Žižek, and he's written a lot about Christianity, believe it or not. And so, I actually like listening to his YouTube videos. let's um, as far as spirituality, well, yeah, I love that author. I've been talking about Osho, and partly because he has a great insights about the how the mind works actually with the left brain and right brain, and he actually says that he actually goes back to the he says the crucifixion, he actually sees it as a parable. He says because he said that Jesus is was crucified with two other thieves, right? One on the left and one on the right. And he said that the thieves represent the past and the future, and that Jesus in the center represents the present moment, and the cross is like the intersection, where you have the vertical axis and the horizontal axis, and the cross is the center, the present moment. And he said that the thief, that they're thieves that represent the past and the future, because whenever we worry about the past or worry about the future, it's stealing the present moment from us. And so, and that the whole point of religion is so that you're fully present in what you're doing in the present moment, that you're fully engaged with the present at all. And that's the power of religion, is to lock the mind into that engagement with the present moment. And that's what a true, inner spiritual life does for you. It's not focused on these outward, on these goals of, accumulating more members for the church or whatever, worrying about, sins that you've done in the past or whatever. The religion, really, the whole purpose is to engage you with the present moment at all times, or to the maximum extent.
That reminds me of something that reminds me of a lyric that Lupe Fiasco said in the song, where he said, numbers govern our young religions. And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Christianity like the youngest religion out there?
No, Islam is younger.
Oh.
Yeah, because Islam includes Christ as a prophet. I mean, Muhammad came after Christ.
Oh, dang, my bad. Sure. I owe somebody an apology. I said Christianity is the youngest religion. But hey, Christianity is still a young religion, right?
Compared to Judaism, Hinduism, and Taoism, yeah. Those are the other main ones. So.
But then again, Christianity, if I'm not mistaken, Christianity is kind of like a furthering of Judaism, but the Christianity that me and you were both raised on is Protestant Christianity, which was kind of like a protest, which was like a protest to the Catholic Church. Am I right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
The furthering of what do you mean? A protest? Say that again. Sorry. It's a furthering of Judaism, which is a.
It was like a furthering of Judaism. Like everybody in the Bible up until the New Testament, up until the book of Acts, are Jews. Judaism is the religion that has taken place, right? After the crucifixion and then the ascent, and then Jesus' ascent into heaven, the apostles are going around preaching the gospel and whatnot, and it's Christianity that's speaking. But the Christianity that me and you have grown up on is Protestant Christianity.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Baptist is denomination that's attached to Protestant Christianity. And Protestant, since the word protest,
Right, I got
it's
you
a
now.
protest Catholic Church, right?
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah.
And so I'm like, yo, the way the whole thing come together is a little wonky for me. I want to talk about the socialism that you bring into it real quick, because another thing about the Southern Baptist Church is you ain't touching nobody's pockets. I mean, we're gonna pay tithes, we're gonna pay offerings, we'll give a little bit to charity and whatnot. But other than that, you ain't touching nobody's pockets. It's been my experience that a lot of people in the Southern Baptist Church are very conservative fiscally, and you're not touching their money.
Right. Yeah, they don't mind the, what is it, 10% tithe, but don't try to talk to them about a federal income tax, right?
That's
exactly.
where I say that's why, and a lot of them are staunchly against socialism, right?
Right.
Like whenever I would tell someone during the elections, both times when Bernie Sanders ran, that I was supporting him, they'd be like, "Oh, Bernie Sanders, he didn't get his first job until he was 40." So, and how socialism goes into communism and all of this, but socialism to me, and you're the socialist here, right? I've been called a socialist or a democratic socialist, but I think like a socialist in some ways. But you're the actual socialist. Socialism to me is like everybody has an equal slate, which is very biblical, right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Right. Yeah, there's actually some kibbutzes in Israel still that are, sometimes cited as an example of like practicing socialism, and that there's not any one person who's the head of the kibbutz. It's just like a commune. It's like another type of commune. But I think kibbutz is specifically a Jewish. It's like a Jewish commune, basically. But yeah, I think there's a lot of the values are similar for sure. Like, if what does it really mean to love your neighbor as yourself? It's like, I think that should mean that, if you're getting paid $250,000 a year, that you should probably be paying a lot of taxes, because I mean, it's not just you who created that job; it's the society the economy is a social creation. It's not one person who created any one job or any one industry or whatever. So,
even Jay-Z had help in creating Rock Nation.
There you go. Yeah. And yeah, the whole thing about artists, like, that is an issue. Like, how would artists get paid under socialism? And there's lots of interesting books, articles about all that. So I don't know, but yeah, that's a controversy among socialists, is what I mean to say. Like, if we do have a socialist society, how would artists get paid money? So like how would they, by what standard would they get paid for their work? So,
maybe they'll have to put their fingers in the mud with the rest of us, because I'm an artist,
right.
I'm also do real world type stuff.
Yeah, there's different socialists will have different answers for that, for sure.
And so I would say, so one could say that in terms of loving your neighbor, helping the poor, take upon each other's burdens, scriptures like that. that's kind of like where socialism and Christianity share a commonality, right?
Yeah, and I guess what I'd say right now is I think, I don't know. It's tough to say like what's going on politically because I don't think politically that socialism is going to be on the table in America anytime soon. But right? So
no. For one thing, Bernie is too old to run. He's done.
Right.
And I personally think it's just a matter of time before AOC fully sells out.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to. If she doesn't, she's going to get kicked out of the Democratic Party, and so who knows? But because I mean, they're just bullies, and that like the Democratic Party leadership does not treat progressives like people who actually take progressive stands kindly. So,
well, look what's running up. It's them two old pickles, Nancy Pelosi and crying Chuck Schumer.
Right. Exactly.
Like,
yeah, it's a mess.
Okay, so whenever I would sit in a Southern Baptist conservative church, I would just wonder, how can these people love Donald Trump so much, right? But then it started to become number one. I don't know how much of a Christian he is. I mean, he definitely isn't my first pick for someone to go to about God.
Right.
But not judge. I'm just calling it like it is. I mean, I'm just calling it like I see it. Excuse me, but for any fiscal conservative who is more so paying attention to their pockets, Trump is their friend, right? Not only that,
right.
But he goes up talking about we love God, we're going to pledge the flag. You know, they marry patriotism into their faith or their translation of their faith because Christianity here ain't what it was in Africa when it first started. So what I'm getting at is that would probably be why they were more drawn to Trump. I think. And I would say in a political sense, while the guy who I wanted to have the job didn't get the job, the disruption that I wanted to happen did, in a way, happen.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's the crazy thing. It's like that's why I was kind of hesitating on saying, like, before the pandemic, I thought there's no way that socialism ever happens in my lifetime in America, But I mean, after the pandemic is like, well, who knows what's going to happen? Like, I feel a lot less confident in saying anything about what's going to happen in 10 or 20 years, So, yeah, after Trump and the pandemic, I mean, those two events, actually, for sure.
Who knows? But you cannot put your faith in a two-party system.
Yeah, and the whole thing about Trump being elected is it makes me wonder if Hillary was president, would the pandemic ever have been as big an issue in the media? If Hillary's president, does the media even care that much about the pandemic? It makes me wonder. Right? Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
And also, I will also say this. Whenever I'm in the church and they will talk about, like, I once visited a church. They were saying, we gotta pray for President Trump.
Wow. Yeah, that's
not. It's not the whole praying for Trump.
Sure, yeah, for the president, that's fine, but yeah.
Pray for Trump, yeah. But I used to say, read the Bible in school. Pray on Senate floor, all that. No. The church and state needs to be separate.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a tough issue, I think, because it's like, what is that? Where does that cross the boundary of freedom of speech? Of like, teachers and things like that. And
if a teacher wanted to, I think that in that regard, if a teacher wanted to say, thank God for a new day, great. But if the teacher's trying to win a student's soul to Christ, I think that's problematic.
Right. I agree. Yeah. Yeah, I think, in Europe they don't really have that tradition of separation of church and state, and there are political parties that are like Christian socialism or democratic or Christian. I forgot what the other conservative Christian party or something like that, and so yeah, it's a different dynamic in Europe, and I don't know, like, yeah, I mean, there's definitely. I think there's pros and cons either way is what I'll say, I guess, because, like, yeah, I'd have to read more about what's going on in Europe, but I think, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I definitely don't want to live under like a, fundamentalist Christian president, like, I don't know. So I think it's a good safeguard to have in place in America at least, but, at the same time, I guess I do have like some concerns about the secular scientific view. That's actually one thing I want to talk about. Is recently there was someone from California. He's been arrested now, but he flew to Washington D.C. and then he called 911 when he got there. He drove to one of the Supreme Court justices' house that he found on the internet. He drove to this guy's house, and he had a gun with him, but he saw a police car there, and then he called 911 and turned himself in, saying, like, I flew from California with the idea of killing the Supreme Court justice. And he later said, when the police like came and arrested him and were interviewing him, he basically said, I was trying to figure out how to make my life meaningful, and based on what I'm reading on the internet, this seemed to be the thing to do or something. And I was like, holy shit. Like, I don't know. That's just the secular worldview, doesn't give people a sense of meaning for their lives, and so that is something that concerns me too. So I don't know. It's like, it's that, nihilism. I think, Christianity, if you're raised Christian, you're not going to have that nihilistic attitude as much. And so I think that's a positive of Christianity, which, I've got a lot of problems with it too, but it does have positives that I see also. So.
And so as we start to wrap it up, because I think the dog heard.
Yeah. Yeah, Rachel just got home. She was out getting food. So.
And so I would ask you, would you say that those morals and everything that you just mentioned, in comparison to someone who's more secular, is that why? Would you say that's why you held on to your faith that you were all this time?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting dynamics from Christianity still that are still very relevant. I mean, I think there's two main things that have kept me in Christian faith, I guess, is one, the poet William Blake. He was a very strong Christian, and he was actually, a lot of his work was trying to create a modern Christian mythology. So he was basically trying to reinterpret. He was a poet, so he was writing these mythic poems and was trying to update Christianity for the modern world, I guess. And so I think it's pretty fascinating. And because I think Christianity, there's a lot of sociological evidence that capitalism spread fastest in actually the Protestant countries in Europe, and so there's a strong connection between this Protestant work ethic and the spread of capitalism and the development of capitalism. And so, yeah, I think Christianity is definitely relevant to the modern world in a lot of ways. And, I think it's good to be aware of those connections and try to figure out what are the pros and what are the cons. But, to be able to figure that out, you got to, I don't know. So I guess personally for my, I've got a lot of ideas, and I'd love to have another conversation in the future, but sorry, I'm kind of all over the place right now.
It's all good. I'm about to let you get to go to your family. I just want to let you know, Thomas, we definitely got to continue this conversation again, and I will also tell you that as I take my step out of Christianity to find what spiritually and faithfully awaits me and stuff, is people like you that could just very much successfully pull me back in there. So, hey man, there is definitely a space for people like you. Thank you very much for being you.
Thank you, Adrian. Yes, it's been a lot of fun to have this conversation.
So what?
I said, it's been a fun conversation for me.
I'm glad, man. I'm glad. So now I release you to go be with your family. Please tell Rachel I said hey, and thank you for your time, man. And again, we're going to have to continue this one day.
Absolutely. Sounds good, Adrian. Right. I'll see you.
And that was Thomas Burwell. So I'm trying to come back. I don't know. But anyway, so this has been ADQ's Renaissance, and it has been, it has been
powered by Riverside FM.
So shout out to Riverside. So the next episode of ADQ's Renaissance is going to be Sunday, 6 o'clock. Tune in on Tapping It In with Tiffany Speaks. Greensboro, Black Wall Street, you know what I'm saying? Paper to Film, you know what I'm saying? Other incredible artistic works that she is responsible for. Shout out to Thomas. We got to give him a round of applause. Yes. This has been ADQ's Renaissance. I'm ADQ. Look out for my play. Messy Millennials, the starter pack. Messy Millennial starter pack, July 21st through the 23rd. Stevie D.I.S. Theater, 200 North Davie Street. Tickets are $10. Pull up. August 13th and 14th. I'll have a play going up in Winston-Salem as part of the Camel City Playhouse 1X, The Art of Life. Look for it. Look for me out here doing my dope thing. And shout out to all of y'all who are showing me love for my Juneteenth form. Much love. I'm ADQ. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful, blessed day. Peace.